Hi, I am Anne Crookston. I am a musician, a brass player. I am a teacher, conductor, adjudicator, and have been for a long time. My background really has been in both woodwind and brass. I started off as a tenor horn player a long time ago at school, and I suppose I was quite maybe a wee bit older than normally. I started really playing when I was about 14 at school, and when I was in S3 third year, I started. I was given the opportunity to play oboe as well, so. I managed to do that through high school, and in those days, which feels like a very long time ago, there weren't really bespoke brass band courses around at that time. So when I went to university in Glasgow to study music, I studied oboe as my first instrument rather than brass. But by that time, I had moved on to baritone, first in New Main's band, and then I moved on to into the CWS Glasgow band, as it was at the time, the cooperation band as it is now, and played there for many years. Kept playing oboe right the way through, and I suppose I started conducting then, maybe a wee bit earlier than that, when I was really just beginning. Just when I was leaving school, I started conducting choirs, my local church choir. Kept conducting through Glasgow Uni as well. I managed to conduct the university orchestra at the time, and then when I became a teacher, then I was conducting choirs and bands right the way through. So really, I've been doing that a long time, and I really only started conducting bands maybe about 20 years ago, maybe something like that, and then adjudication a wee bit later, maybe about 10, 11, 12 years ago, something like that. So yeah, that's me. So it was quite a strange experience playing a double reed instrument and playing a brass instrument. And I suppose the biggest difference really was kind of in my embouchure was really biting down on the double reed to play oboe, and then moving on to onto the baritone. But I guess it felt quite easy at the time. I'd always been used to doing it, so it felt quite easy. So when I was at university and doing my performing, it was almost, I suppose it was almost a bit of a relief to move on to the baritone and get that bit of relief in my embouchure. I suppose the main differences were really in the style of playing and the breathing, and I think playing the oboe helped me in my brass playing, because I had to learn different breathing techniques to support the sound on a woodwind instrument, especially a woodwind instrument like oboe, helped me then when I went to brass, I guess. I mean, interestingly as well, I have two children, two daughters, and my youngest, interestingly, is both a brass and a woodwind player as well. She plays tenor horn, but she also plays clarinet. So I feel maybe it's just something that we were able to do, the two of us. But yeah, I suppose the main difference is obviously in the embouchure, but I suppose the benefits, the breathing and the support for the sound, that really helped. I suppose my most memorable banding experience is a bit intertwined with my personal life as well, because I have to go back to 1990, and the band I was playing with at the time, CWS Glasgow band, who and we won the national championships that year. We won, the test piece was the English Heritage in the Albert Hall. And at the time I was engaged to my now husband, Kenny Crookston. And Kenny played with Whitburn brass band at the time, and we were big rivals in Scotland. I guess still are. So we were engaged to be married, and we were getting married a couple of months after. So my most memorable experience would have been winning the national championships with CWS Glasgow in 1990 with the test piece English Heritage, and then getting married to my husband 2 months later. That made life difficult, slightly difficult for a couple of months at least. He's never let me forget it. It's quite interesting. I was working with Shona Wade last, I think it was August, September time. We're adjudicating a contest in the Borders, and obviously Shona is a world-class performer, and I guess I'm more known as a conductor, and those two qualities brought together, I thought we made a brilliant team. That special insight that Shona has, is a wonderful performer, and the kind of insight that what I'm looking for technically as a conductor is really, that brought together a really good team, and a really great insight when we were adjudicating. And I guess you're absolutely right. The insight you have naturally as a player, as a musician, and what you're looking for as a conductor is, I suppose, what brought me to adjudicating in the first place. Aside from the fact, I guess, that I've done that all my career as a teacher and appraisal of performance. You do that performance appraisal right the way through your career as a teacher, but as a conductor, and the more I've adjudicated, the more I've been able to bring that to my conducting, and vice versa. I suppose with the experience I've got, so I've conducted a number of different ensembles, types of and levels of ability in ensembles. So from right the way from youth bands right the way to elite bands, and you do get it gives you a bit of an edge when it comes to, especially maybe youth bands, for example, where you're looking for slightly different things from a youth band performance, and it might be that sheer joy of performing on a stage. When you come to open adjudication of a youth band contest, and you could just see that joy in performance, and that really gives you there is an edge that you get there. And then conducting elite bands, the performing element of it, I guess I suppose you're looking to constantly improve as a performer. You're looking to constantly, improve either your sound, your technique, whatever it is. And the way you're doing that is you're pulling on performances and listening to great performances, listening to great performers, and bringing that quality to your own performance, or being able to listen and pick out that special moment in an adjudication, whether you're adjudicating elite contests right the way through. The more you listen, and the more widely you listen, and the more you challenge yourself, I think the better you are as an adjudicator, and the more you can envisage what it is you're looking for as an adjudicator. I think that everything is interlinked. They all tie together. They're all as equally as important as each other, I think. I think I've been really lucky in the time that I've been adjudicating it over 11, 12 years, maybe more than that, that I've been all levels. I've right the way through from youth bands, as I say, right the way through to elite levels. I've been really lucky that I've had a wide range of different experiences, whether it's in this country, open, closed adjudication, always written feedback, always youth bands tend to be open adjudication, different types of contests, whether it's a kind of the familiar test piece contest, or set test piece, mixed test piece, or if it's program contests, different types of traditional, I suppose, British style contests, to contests on the continent, and particularly in Norway, where things are different. You're asked different things. So, for example, I guess the very first contest that I was ever asked to adjudicate was the Sidis contest in Norway, And the culture is very different there, especially with CIDIS. CIDIS, is, as you know, is a programme contest where bands are produce their programme up to and above 20 minutes long. It's open adjudication. And I suppose when I first did that contest, that was the first experience I had of a kind of a themed program where it was really overtly themed program, and how, you know, how that affected what you were thinking about it. Did the theme work? Did the program work as a whole? There's no announcement in between the pieces. No, the Norwegian contests tend to, you begin your program, you're told what the pieces are, and then you play right the way through. So there's no interjections. It literally is just, there it is. And the theme can sometimes be entertaining, or you have to look for, you know, the links between the pieces. That contest has kind of now evolved to where it's not written remarks, handwritten remarks anymore. It's digital, it's online, and you do have time. So what people tend to do is write your comments on laptop, save it as a Word document, and then you get time to look and reflect over your comments before putting them in, doing your marks, inputting the remarks, and then finally doing your final save and saving the points as you go. So the written remarks have changed quite a lot in Norway. So that's one system. When you go to America, I've been really lucky that over the past couple of years that I've judged in America, and the North American Brass Band Championships, again at different levels, and they have a different system altogether. So they're looking at, and the philosophy behind it, so it's really, really in-depth research has gone into to their philosophy and their rubric, and it's a different system altogether. So all closed adjudication, but it's verbal feedback. So all you do, you comment on the band's performance. You keep some notes for yourself, and then you're putting your marks in based on performance and technicality, musicality. It's really, really thoroughly researched. So it's a completely different system of adjudication altogether, and I think that it puts a different perspective on things, certainly not on your judging your skill as an adjudicator, but you are thinking about things in a different way. And I think going back to the Norwegian setup, where especially at elite level this year, where the set work they play on the Friday, and that's closed adjudication. So the set test piece is closed adjudication for all the bands, and then on the Saturday for the own choice test piece, it is open adjudication. All the comments are online, so it's quite an interesting mix. And I guess it's a really different landscape. Wherever you go across the world, it's a really hugely different landscape, and it's interesting. I think, going forward, or looking forward for myself, I'd be interested in doing that bit of research into different systems, how that kind of appraisal is approached. But I found it, I do think I've grown and changed as an adjudicator over the years, because of the different experiences that I've had, which have been absolutely, I find it fascinating. I find it an absolute and something that I absolutely love doing. So I really have been lucky in the experiences that I've had. Dogs. Depends on the time of day. Cup of coffee in the morning, cup of tea in the evening. Baritone. Royal Albert Hall. Ooh, entertainment. Hymn tune. Oh, that's really difficult. That's a really difficult one to pick. Whitburn, I suppose, because I spent most of my playing career there. CWS, I guess, in the 1990s, because that was my first big band. So that's a really difficult, that's hard to pick. Spent most of my time in Whitburn. My husband was there as well. Oh, that's hard to pick.